Allen Weisselberg of New York will apparently be called to testify before the House Intel and perhaps Oversight committees. Now, you may wonder, what put the name Allen Weisselberg in their heads all of a sudden?
In the office with me was Allen Weisselberg, the chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. I was at the time with Allen Weisselberg. The bottom signature, I believe, is Allen Weisselberg's. Allen Weisselberg, Allen Weisselberg, Allen Weisselberg. That's signed by Allen Weisselberg. Always Allen Weisselberg on the check.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So, Allen Weisselberg.
His name, in fact, might have come up just a few times yesterday. Allen Weisselberg, this man is the longtime chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, dating back generations, really, to when Donald Trump's father ran the place. Today, Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings was asked about the committee's next moves.
You said you're going to be following up with some people. Are there people like Allen Weisselberg that he sort of seems?
All you have to do is follow the transcript. We'll go through, we'll figure out who we want to talk to, and we'll bring them in. Yeah.
Do you want people in the Trump family, Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr.?
Just follow the transcript.
Well, in Watergate, it was follow the money. Now, tonight, we're following the transcript. And still with us to do that, Jeremy Bash, Josh Gerstein, and Jessica Roth. Jessica, here in New York, if you follow the transcript, how much more legal peril are people like Allen Weisselberg and the Trump children in than before Cohen started testifying?
Well, I don't think that they're in any more peril as a consequence of Cohen testifying.
They're just more apt to be called to testify?
Yes, and I'm assuming that the prosecutors in the Southern District of New York are familiar already with everything that was said yesterday by Michael Cohen. He's testified yesterday. He's been in, I think he said, constant contact with the Southern District prosecutors. So I'm assuming they know everything that we heard yesterday publicly and much, much more. So I think the big question is, what do they know from Allen Weisselberg already? It's been reported that he has some limited form of immunity, so maybe they have not fully debriefed him. That's what that would suggest, that he's not fully cooperating yet, but he was given limited immunity, perhaps to testify in the grand jury about the hush money payments. But there's clearly much more information that he has to offer. And if I were in the Southern District now, I would actually be quite concerned about Allen Weisselberg being called as a witness, especially in an open session before Congress, before I had the chance to fully debrief him.
Josh, we keep seeing the worry, for good reason, has been about Russia and Mueller, but whether they are buckets or pails, they just keep opening up all over the horizon.
They do, and I do think that some of the more damaging and potentially troublesome testimony from Cohen during his lengthy appearance on Capitol Hill yesterday was more of the garden variety type stuff. You know, even the campaign finance violations that we've all heard alleged and that Cohen has admitted to involving Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, obviously very titillating stories and significant if the law was broken, but actually very hard cases to prosecute in federal court, require specific intent, not just that the law be broken, but you're going to need memos or some kind of indication that Trump knew that it was illegal, despite the fact that he had lawyers who were participating in this process. I think much simpler potential charges and more problematic for the White House and the Trump Organization are these claims Cohen made of regularly inflating financial statements being given for insurance purposes, for bank purposes, for applications for financing for various real estate projects, and also for tax purposes. All those things, not just federal crimes, but remember, if they were done in New York City or done regarding Trump properties in New Jersey or California, subject to potential prosecution in those jurisdictions by state authorities, and those people are not covered by this Justice Department memo that says you can't indict the president. So if you want to talk about a worst-case scenario, or at least a very bad scenario for the president, it might be time to be thinking about what those prosecutors are going to do, not just to someone like Paul Manafort, but possibly to the president himself.
Jessica, you were agreeing.
I agree entirely. I think those more garden variety cases are much easier to prove. They're less likely to be credibility contests between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump or anyone else in the organization. They're likely to be backed up by documentary evidence. It's pretty hard to explain why you submitted a financial statement that shows shows your net worth to be one thing for one purpose and to someone else for another purpose. Those are going to be easier cases to make. We don't have an airtight case yet, but certainly what Michael Cohen talked about yesterday does show the kinds of things that prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and in New York State would be pursuing, and where they could possibly have the easiest road to building a case that would be solid enough to convict.
And to Jeremy Bash, Jeremy, speaking of garden variety, at least something that sounds so simple, when you hear the chairman say, simply follow the transcript. It's right there in front of us. Is there anything or moment that either watching yesterday in real time or reading it back today jumps out at you?
Look, I think the significance of yesterday was that they gave the multitude of committees in Congress roadmaps for future investigation. And while it's true that the prosecutors in the Mueller investigation and in the Southern District of New York probably knew all of this information, having spent time with many witnesses, having reviewed many documents, having spent time with Michael Cohen, I think this is for the first time the window into the way the House Democrats are going to proceed here. They're going to look at the hush money campaign finance violations. These are acts the president committed as president, and there's documentary evidence. They're going to look at the Roger Stone channel, WikiLeaks, and they're going to, of course, look at the broader issue of what the president knew about the Trump-Moscow Tower deal. So I think there's a lot more investigating to come.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.